Hi, this is Mrs. Rodriguez, your pre-algebra teacher. This video is about lesson 12-6, all about surface area of cylinders. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation, and we're just going to go over a couple of things and some examples. So in lesson 12-6, you should have read about the formula for surface or the lateral area of a cylinder, which is 2 times pi times the radius times the height. And then also the formula for the surface area of a cylinder, which is the lateral area, so 2 times pi times the radius times the height, plus 2 times the area of the base, okay? Now the base is a circle, so you're multiplying 2 times the area of the circle, which is pi r squared, okay? So let's look at an example. It says to find the lateral and surface area of a cylinder with a radius of 7 centimeters and a height of 12 centimeters, okay? And it says to round to the nearest tenth, okay? So first we're going to find the lateral area. Remember that formula is 2 times pi times the radius times the height. So we're going to fill in what we know. We know 2 and pi. The radius is 7 centimeters. I'll put that in parentheses. The height is 12 centimeters. I'll put that in parentheses as well. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply the 7 times the 12 first, and that would be 84. And then 2 times 84 would be 168. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply that by pi. Now, you should be doing this in your calculator. I do not expect you to multiply 168 by pi, okay? That would be 527 and 7/800ths, and it wants you to round to the nearest tenth. So I have an 8 in my hundredths place, so that's going to bump up my 7 to an 8. So that would be 527 and 8/10 centimeters squared. And this is for the lateral area, okay? Now for the surface area, you take the lateral area and add 2 times the area of the base. So we just found the lateral area, and I'm going to use this 168 pi, because this is a decimal approximation, and I want to get a little bit more exact answer here, okay? Plus 2 times the area of the base, which is pi r squared. So the radius of the base is 7. So this would be 7 squared. So I have 168 pi plus 2 pi times 7 squared, which is 49. And then I'm going to multiply the 49 by 2, and I get 98 pi. Now, the reason I chose to keep this 168 pi instead of a decimal approximation is I can now add 168 pi and 98 pi. Those are like terms, so that ends up being 266 pi. And then I type that into my calculator, and I get 835 and 6600ths. And then it says to round to the nearest tenth. So I have a 6 in my hundredths place, so I'm going to round that 6 up to a 7. And this is centimeters squared. Okay. All right. Then here it says which can has a greater surface area? A tuna fish can with a diameter of 8 centimeters, okay, and a height of 4 centimeters, or a soup can with a diameter of 4 centimeters and a height of 8 centimeters, okay? So let's take a look. It wants you to find the surface area of each of these. So the surface area is the lateral area plus 2 times the area of the base. And the lateral area can be found by using 2 times pi times the radius times the height. And then the base can be found, the area of the base can be found by taking pi r squared. So I'm going to plug in my values for the tuna can. Now 2 times pi times the radius. Now it gave us the diameter, so be careful with that. So the radius is going to be, if the diameter is 8, the radius is going to be 4. Okay, and then the height is 4 also. And then 2 times pi times the radius, which we just figured out was 4, not 8. Okay, so then I'm going to simplify. I'm going to multiply the 4 times the 4. That's 16. And then 2 pi, 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. And then I've got 2 times 16, which is 32, times pi, and 2 times 16 again is 32 pi. So I add those together, and that's 64 pi. And I end up with, I type that in a calculator, and I end up with 201 6/100. So I'm going to round that to the nearest tenth, and that's 201 1/10 centimeters squared. Okay, now that's for the tuna can. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the soup can. So again, surface area is 2 times pi times the radius times the height plus 2 pi times the radius squared. So I'm going to fill in my values. The radius is not 4. This was the diameter. So that means the radius is 2 centimeters. Make sure you don't make that mistake on your homework or on a test or something, okay? And then 2 times pi, again, the radius is 2 squared. So I'm going to multiply 2 pi times 2 times 8, which is 16. And then 2 pi times 2 squared, which is 4. And then 2 times 16 is 32 pi plus 8 pi. And 32 pi plus 8 pi is 40 pi, excuse me. And then when we punch that into a calculator, we get 125 66/100. And we would round to the nearest tenth, 125 7/10 centimeters squared. So the question was, which has the greater surface area? So obviously this one here, the tuna can, has the greater surface area. Okay. All right, so that's all for this lesson. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. Remember, if you have any questions, please call, text, email me, or stop by my office hours, and you have a great day.